Okay, now while we're in the parsonage of Pastor Scott, one of the people that I talked to was a pastor, and his son had so much trouble taking drugs and selling drugs and all the kinds of stuff. He had been locked up so many times that he said to us, I'm convinced that I'm going to get a phone call someday and my son is going to be dead, or he's going to be incarcerated again. And that fellow, the son of a pastor, was the first Mission Bible Training Center resident to go from Central City, Kentucky, Muhlenberg County, Kentucky, into one of the faith-based rehab centers. One of the, I think it was the Crossville Center he went to. I don't remember which first center he went to, but we had our first MBTC resident while we were staying in the parsonage at the invitation of Pastor Scott. Then we were introduced to Kathy Gillis, and we started talking. We took a journey with Kathy Gillis to the Crossville Mission Bible Training Center, David Becky Hogan, and Kathy Gillis as a representative of Central City, Kentucky, and Muhlenberg County, hungry for God's help with drug problems. Kathy Gillis, got to hear testimonies from people in the Crossville Center, and we recorded a handful of them, and they were awesome. I mean, they blew my mind. The testimonies that we heard, we sat in a room, and they brought us people in one after another, and as their testimonies came in, Kathy was saying, if I had had $30,000, I would not know where to send my daughter. She's in jail for 5 years. I didn't even know if there was an effective rehab program in the world. If there had been, I would have paid for one. I did not know that this was an option. I'm hearing stories from Crossville Mission Bible Training Center that make me feel like my daughter is going to be okay. So Kathy Gillis and her company have a little building. It's a little church building, and she usually rents it out to small congregations. She said, I don't want to rent to a congregation anymore. I want to use this building to help people that are having problems with drugs like my daughter and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of others in this county. So we sat down and we started looking at this little church building, and there's a fellowship hall that's got 3 very small Sunday school rooms attached to it. It's like a big central room with a strip kitchen with a kitchen counter, long kitchen counter and food service facilities, and a bathroom. And we decided we're going to turn this into a place where anybody can come and talk. And Kathy decides, well, I'm going to put in a washer and dryer so people can even bring their wash over if they want to. Sometimes that's an issue or a factor or a help. So the Safety Net Clubhouse was born. And I got in touch with my friend Pete Tuzzolino. Pete Tuzzolino was working at a men's halfway house in Inverness, Florida, working with the brothers, doing a lot of stuff. I had met Pete Tuzzolino at the Lakeland Revival. At the Lakeland Revival, many, many people came when it had moved to the airport. There was a campground at the airport. And the community that developed, that was living together and praying for each other night and day at the Lakeland Revival, was a miraculous, spirit-filled community. And Pete Tuzzolino, I called him, he was like the mama. He was the nurturing, sheltering brother fellow, the friendly father guy at the campground. See, rich folks would fly in from California, stop at a Walmart, grab a a tent and some camping materials and would stay at the campground for cheap because it was actually closer to the revival services than any other motel. So it was really nice. The weather was great. It was, fall, and the weather was decent. And so people would come and they would bring camping gear. Then other people would come and they would give it away to somebody else. So there were campsites that had been set up. And some people would actually move in and take over people's stuff and throw them a few bucks for their things. And it became this community residence. People and churches from the community started bringing food to the campground, and there was public cooking. There was always rice and beans being cooked by some people, and there were fruits and water and juices and all kinds of stuff at the Lakeland Revival. So Pete Tuzzolino was one of the most outstanding, caring people at the Lakeland Revival that I met, and I brought him over to our house on St. Pete Beach. And he had visited our house a couple of times, and I brought him to the Safety Net Clubhouse, and everyone in the Central City group really enjoyed Brother Pete Tuzzolino. I'm going to slow down there. We'll pick up Poplar Grove Nursing Home.